Okay, so I know I'm late on this, that's my bad. I came down with the worst case of flu I've ever had in my entire life, so I wasn't able to get this video out before Chapter 7 began. That said, as you know, I started playing Fortnite at the beginning of Chapter 6, so it is very important to me to be able to put this together and kind of give you guys my thoughts on my entire experience. I want to take some time to look back at Chapter 6 and discuss all the seasons that we got from the perspective of someone who is a new player. Strap in, grab your favorite loadout, and make sure to leave all of your thoughts on everything down below in the comments as we launch into my review of Fortnite Chapter 6. Before we get started, I do have a couple of quick announcements. Some of you may have noticed, but I did open up channel memberships on this channel once again. I've kind of reformatted things and changed the pricing a little bit, but you get some really cool perks, including access to videos early, pending the post-production. Whenever possible, I will try to get the video out up to 48 hours early for channel members, so if you want to help support the channel, that is a great way to do so. And if you want to, be sure to like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't, and hype it up if you can. But without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into it. So we're going to go over every season we had in Chapter 6 to kind of wrap everything up in a nice little bow. But for the sake of time, I will only be touching on some of the older seasons, and we'll put a little more time into the Simpsons mini-season since I haven't done a final review for that yet. Then at the very end, I wanted to do something a little special given the occasion, so make sure to watch the entire video. But enough of me yapping, let's go ahead and get started with Chapter 6, Season 1, Oni Hunters, or Demon Hunters, or Hunters, whatever you want to call it. I always just refer to it as Hunters, but this was not only the first season of Chapter 6, but also the first season I ever played in Fortnite. What started off as research for a video comparing the differences between popular Battle Royale games led me to finding a game that was just a joy to play. It was visually stunning, and it was still competitive, but I didn't find it too sweaty. I really fell in love with Fortnite from my very first games, and the Hunters season was a big part of the reason why. I really enjoyed the bright and colorful map, and I know I've said it in previous videos, but even though the Japanese mythology isn't really my vibe, I have to say I really enjoyed the choices that Epic Games made. This was honestly such a great start, and I really enjoyed the theme kind of being the base foundation for the island for the entirety of the chapter. Special shout out as well to the Godzilla collab. That was honestly insane for me to experience. Now, the season wasn't perfect by any means. There were definitely some issues with the Typhoon Blade kind of dominating every loadout, but I think that overall it was an excellent time. Maybe it's just me having nostalgia glasses already, but I think that this may be one of my favorite times playing Fortnite ever. Next up was the vault-cracking, cash-grabbing madness that was Lawless. This season really felt like it took some of the stuff that they set up in Hunters and tried to push it to another level. I really enjoyed the gameplay loop they established with dropping in, breaking into a vault, collecting dill bits, and then getting great loot as a reward. But the pattern admittedly did get a little monotonous by the time we were getting to the last few weeks of the season for me. Even though things kind of got stale by the end, Lawless was still a great time in my opinion. I enjoyed the weapons and items on offer, even though the kneecapper did take over the title of most annoying crutch weapon from the Typhoon Blade. I really enjoyed the plasma burst laser thing and the pump and dump shotgun SMG combo. I remember just really being surprised at how much stuff Fortnite offered when the new season came around. I'm used to other live service games that maybe change a POI or two if we're lucky, while all the real big updates only really take place in the cosmetic store when a new season launches. And that was definitely not my experience with Lawless. Also, the big collab this season was Mortal Kombat, and getting to play that Sub-Zero skin was definitely a highlight for me for reasons I went into in my big video on Chapter 6 Season 2. All in all, I had a great time. It was nice to see that kind of progression from Chapter 6 Season 1, and I was really interested to see how things kind of progressed from here. After Lawless, we headed off to a galaxy far, far away with the Galactic Battle mini-season. I was a huge Star Wars fan as a kid, and even though this season did pull at my heartstrings a little bit, I still feel like it didn't really do enough to set itself apart. This became even more apparent after playing through the Simpsons mini-season, but I'm getting ahead of myself there. I liked the weapon pool being changed, but I know that it rubbed some people the wrong way. Not having to worry about ammo made weapon spam a big problem. It was sometimes difficult to tell what weapon was what when picking stuff up. They all looked so similar, and the names were just bunch of letters, bunch of numbers. So it took me way too long to kind of understand what was what, and it was very difficult for me to pick stuff up on the fly in a pressured situation. The theme overall also felt a little underutilized in my opinion. Aside from 4 POIs at the very far edges of the map and some annoying vehicles, it didn't really feel like a Star Wars season. Sure, we got lightsabers and force powers, but I really wonder what it would have been like if we got a small map refresh like The Simpsons Springfield Island, all Star Wars themed. But, I guess we'll never know. At the end of the day, all I know is I was a little let down by Galactic Battle, and I was definitely not the only one. Even though I didn't love this time period as much as previous seasons, I still had a good time playing, which I guess is the best you can ask for. One positive was that it was a mini-season, so we did not have to wait too long to head off to Chapter 6 Season 3 Super. This season really reinvigorated my love for the game, and I think it was one of my favorites. The skins were all cool, and the Superman collab was fitting. And the weapons. Man, I loved the loot pool this season. The tracking visor, the kill switch revolvers, the base boost gauntlets, the Spire rifle, the hyperburst pistol. Ooh, that's some spicy cuisine. We were just spoiled for choice in Super. I know a lot of people had issues with the Storm Beast pom-poms, but I didn't really experience too many problems dealing with them. I don't know, maybe I just got lucky, but I really liked the weapons and items this season, and they really did a good job of helping me feel like a superhero. Another great addition to the game was the superhero rank that allowed you to level up and gain access to better loot. While this would be improved next season, I really enjoyed this system, and I think it's a great addition to Fortnite that makes each match feel more fun. I like having a small goal to build towards aside from just trying to win. So I really dig this system, and I hope we can see it kind of come back in the future and be built on even more. The next season was, of course, shock and awesome, where insects invaded the island and did battle with the OXR. I really like the way the superhero rank system evolved with OXR ranks, especially since they sped up the progress of collecting your excellent loot rewards for your rank by sending in a drop pod. I just felt like that was just such a cool quality of life change, and it was also very thematic. We spent this season battling against bugs until we didn't. Yeah, it seemed like the carapace-clad creepy crawlies were just kind of dropped off at a certain point, which was, definitely a choice. I really enjoyed the theme, even if it seemed a little half-baked, so to see it kind of just disappear was definitely a letdown. The skins were all pretty good this season, and special shout out to the Halo Spartan skins and the addition, of course, of Tommy Oliver with the green and white Ranger skin. That was much appreciated. I made a big old video about it, and I have no shame in saying that a Fortnite skin has officially made me cry. In terms of items and weapons, this season was okay in my opinion. The Wrecker Revolver was a go-to for me due to its versatility, and it seemed like everybody agreed with that sentiment because I saw it on every player I dropped. The Precision Airstrike thing was a nice power fantasy to have as well, and it was really cool to see. What was weird though was the Hollow Twister AR also returned when things started to fall off about halfway through the season, which was on one hand great because I love that gun, but the fact that it kept showing up again and again, season after season, just made it seem like the devs were desperate to just kind of appease people. We started off at the beginning of the season with some medallions that you could pick up from Bug Queens, but after realizing that they made the game a pain when one player collected all of them and basically became an unstoppable force, Epic removed them and then they just kind of never came back. No, not in a nerfed form, not just changing them to a different ability. They were just poof, gone. All in all, not a terrible season, but it definitely feels like the theme ended up being half measures. Unfortunately, I think that will kind of be the legacy of this season for me, is things kind of showed up and then they were just removed. There were medallions until there weren't. There were bugs until there weren't. There was a unique loot pool until there wasn't. I think I kind of summed it up best in my video giving my final thoughts on Shock and Awesome when I said that it was a good season, but a few things held it back from being a great season. While there were definitely some high points, including the addition of the K-pop Demon Hunters collab, I just ended up wishing that this season had a little more time in the oven before coming out to make it truly stand out. And last but not least, we come to the Simpsons mini-season. Now, I'll be honest, I thought that this was going to be a flop. I personally didn't really watch The Simpsons growing up, despite the fact that I'm old as dirt, and I couldn't imagine the season actually being good after the experience we had with the last mini-season. I distinctly remember before this season dropped telling my wife I might be taking a little break from making videos because I just couldn't imagine that I would want to make content on this consistently, but you know what? I can admit when I was wrong, and I could not have been more wrong with this take. The Simpsons miniseason, in my opinion, was amazing. I liked the smaller map, the cartoony graphics really grew on me, and the simpler loot pool just made everything feel good. All of this made the game feel fun and refreshed for me, and it gave me a lot of hope as we went into Chapter 7 that things would be on the up and up. I think that Fortnite really hit its stride with this mini-season, and I am so impressed with how great of a send-off this was for Chapter 6. So what I thought would end up being a terrible mini-season ended up being one of my favorite moments from this chapter. And I honestly hope we see more collaboration seasons in the future take a page out of this book, rather than following Galactic Battle to the dark side. So these are all the seasons we experienced in this chapter. My ranking for each season kind of changes depending on which day you ask me, but if I had to narrow it down right now, it would look a little something like this. Galactic Battle was definitely my least loved, even though I still had fun. And Shock and Awesome unfortunately went into B tier just because I feel like it was underutilized and underrealized. Super and Lawless would be A tier for me, with Super just barely eking out a little bit ahead of Lawless. And you are probably as surprised as I am to see that Hunters and the Simpsons miniseason round out the S tier. I really cannot emphasize how surprised I was by how much I enjoyed the game when that Simpsons miniseason happened. All in all, I really enjoyed my time in Chapter 6, and to be honest with you, I am so excited to see how Chapter 7 continues and evolves. But being real for a second, a little part of me is sad because I feel like I'm going to miss Chapter 6 so much in the future. Yeah, well, I guess that's the natural order of things in a live service game. All that said, to wrap up this video here, I wanted to give you guys some of my final thoughts, and I usually do so by having a nice little wrap-up paragraph. But you know, since this is kind of a milestone video being the end of the first chapter I played and all, I wanted to do something a little bit special and a little bit different. You guys spend enough time listening to me rant. So I figured I would switch things up and ask my wife, who has never played Fortnite before, to record the last paragraph here, recapping everything. Everyone, please give a warm welcome to Miss Kitty.
Overall, House is very thankful that he started playing Fortnite during Chapter 6. The gameplay was fun and engaging. The island was bright and colorful, and overall, he found that he had something to do every time he logged in. Whether he was trying to survive Typhoon Blades in Hunters, collecting dill bits in Lawless, blasting TIE fighters in Galactic Battle, saving the squad in Super, squashing bugs in Shock and Awesome, or sipping some slurp in Springfield, he had a great time. Most of all though, House would like to take some time to thank every one of you that watched his videos, gave him advice, and welcomed him into the Fortnite community. It can be intimidating to try and cover a new game, but you always made him feel like he had a place here, and not like he was an outsider. So thank you for everything. And last but not least, my husband would like me to remind you to use creator code HauntedHouse in the Fortnite item shop to help support the channel. But that's all for me. Here's Haunted House. Kitty Girl out.
A huge shout out to my wife for putting up with my crap, and a big old shout out to you guys as well. I had an absolute blast in Chapter 6, and I cannot wait to see how Chapter 7 plays out in the future. Make sure to subscribe if you have not already so you can find your way back here and join in on all the discussions during Chapter 7. And once again, thank you all so much for letting me join this community. I really feel blessed to be able to do this and chase my dreams, so just know that I appreciate you guys. But that's enough of my ranting for today. Here's to the future, and as always, I'm Haunted House, and thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with me today. Make sure to eat well, stay hydrated, take care of yourself and those around you, and I'll see you in the next one, friends. That's perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I was like, I need to get through this better. So.
How was that for you?
It was okay.
Thank you, babe.
Mm-hmm.